Previously, Elon Musk himself has shaped many of the misunderstandings people have about Tesla. Yet at the same time, everything about Tesla is inseparable from Elon Musk. So next, I'll break down the company itself, using data and insider insights, to present a report for a future billionaire. Is Tesla truly worth your investment?
But I still have one question. A lot of car makers freak out the moment they hear price war. They look worse than their balance sheets. How can Tesla keep cutting prices and still make money? Do they really have that much room?
That leads us to the first real moat, its manufacturing system. Take the famous gigacasting, for example. Traditionally, car makers use hundreds of parts and welds to piece together a large section of the body. Tesla uses giant casting machines to stamp that whole section in basically one shot. The result is fewer parts, fewer welds, a lighter body, shorter process chains, and lower requirements for plant area and headcount.
So in plain everyday terms, it's like this. Other companies need dozens of stations and a bunch of steps to finish the job. Tesla uses one giant machine plus a small team to get it done faster and cheaper?
That's a pretty accurate translation. On top of that, Tesla goes much deeper into vertical integration. Things like motors, battery packs, thermal systems, and even parts of chip design. When supply chains run smoothly, you might barely notice the advantage. But once you hit chip shortages, shipping issues, or raw material bottlenecks, the company that can keep key parts flowing is the one that can survive a few more rounds of competition.
Kind of like in real life. Everyone says they've got lots of friends, but when something actually goes wrong, you find out who really shows up.
Exactly. Then comes the cost path they chose for autonomy. While many players piled on expensive sensors first and worried about costs later, Tesla doubled down on a vision-first route. Rely mainly on cameras and algorithms. Minimize the use of ultra-expensive hardware. The hard part is that this route takes more time and a lot more real-world data to prove that, at the same safety level, you can do it cheaper and at scale.
So once that approach really works, every extra car they build carries less pressure than competitors. The price war for them becomes more like expanding territory while cutting prices?
That's the idea. Manufacturing efficiency is one of the reasons they can proactively cut prices and still hold the profit line. If manufacturing is the first moat, then data and ecosystem form the second. Every connected Tesla driving on the road is turning real driving behavior, road conditions, and extreme weather performance into training data for its algorithms. More cars means more data. More data means faster iteration. Better performance leads to better user experience. Better experience attracts more buyers. That's your classic snowball effect.
So it's kind of like a chain store. The more locations you open, the more you learn about different cities and time slots, and the smarter the management system gets?
That's a very good analogy. Tesla is also trying to train a global algorithm by using more cars on more roads, in more regions and conditions. Then there's the outer circle, the supercharger network, insurance, services, and in-car app ecosystem. These might not look like the brightest parts of the business right now, but over time, they all serve the same purpose, making it harder and harder for users to walk away from the system.
So once you're used to their charging, navigation, and infotainment, even if another brand has some better specs, you'll hesitate. If I switch cars, will everything suddenly feel clumsy and annoying?
That's right. At the top level, great companies no longer compete just on individual product specs. They're competing on one thing: how costly it is in time, money, and hassle for you to leave their ecosystem. Manufacturing efficiency is one fortress wall. Data and ecosystem are another. The more cars on the road and the longer users stay, the harder it becomes for newcomers to climb over both walls at once.
Listening to all this, I can see why so many people are optimistic about Tesla. But is Elon Musk really some kind of genius who never fails?
One of the biggest risks is the same thing Tesla is betting on the heaviest: robot access. As a story, robot access are incredibly appealing. If autonomous driving truly matures, a car isn't just sold to one family anymore. It can stay on the road nearly 24/7, constantly earning money.
That sounds like buying an apartment where you live there during the day, and at night someone else comes in and pays you rent. Who wouldn't love that?
But reality is much more complicated. Technology maturity is one hurdle. Regulation and public acceptance are a completely different one. Different cities and states have different rules and tolerance levels. Even if the tech is ready, you still have to deal with accident responsibility, liability, and how public opinion might react if a single major incident happens and suddenly resets everything back to zero.
So this story has to convince engineers, regulators, lawyers, and regular passengers before it can fully land in the real world?
Exactly. That's why professional investors often separate Tesla's current earnings power from the future value of robotaxis when they model the company. Robotaxis are more like a long-dated option. It could be incredibly valuable if it works, but the timeline for that payoff is highly uncertain.
So, it's a fantastic story, just not one that's guaranteed to happen on your timeline.
Right. And that's a reminder for retail investors. A great company doesn't mean it's worth buying at any price, and a long-term story doesn't guarantee the stock will give you all the time in the world to wait comfortably.
If I'm just a regular investor, what are the first few things you'd want me to think through?
I break it into 3 layers. First, if you mentally fade Musk out of the picture and only look at manufacturing, software, energy, and the financials, do you still think this is a business worth studying? In other words, even with zero founder halo, can you accept this as a company with real competitive strength, purely from a business and technology standpoint?
So step 1 is deciding whether this is a business you actually want to study before you fall in love with the CEO.
Second, can you live with the fact that because of Musk, Tesla's valuation and media narrative will swing a lot more than average?
Meaning, you have to admit that holding this stock will probably make your heart race faster than holding some boring blue chip and might cost you a few nights of sleep.
Third, you need to be very clear about what you're actually betting on. Are you betting on the EV megatrend, on autonomous driving and robotaxis, or on Tesla as a symbol of this tech era?
Sounds like the riskiest group is people who haven't figured that out at all. They just see everyone talking about Tesla, buy a little out of FOMO, and then panic at every price swing.
Exactly. Whether Tesla is a good company is one question. Whether it's suitable for you to hold is a completely different one.
Let me try a quick recap. Tesla's strengths include the attention and risk-taking energy Musk brings, but also hard stuff like manufacturing efficiency, data snowball effects, energy build-out, and ecosystem lock-in. Its risks partly come from the founder's personality, but even more from long-term stories that haven't fully played out yet, especially robotaxis, which could open a new world or just be a vision told way too early.
If you can clearly separate those 2 categories, you won't spend all day staring at daily price moves.
Alright, that's the end of my random thoughts for today. Now you can think about whether your in-house investment assistant deserves a little allowance.
Let's finish recording this episode first. Then we can talk about your salary. And if you're watching this on the other side of the screen, remember just one line. You're not really asking whether Tesla will win. You're asking whether you can handle the way it wins or loses.